Hey everybody, it's Joe DeGanzik, and this is Smarter Home Life, the final Q&A. Actually, it's not the final Q&A of the year. It's January, the final day of the year. I'm getting this in just at the very last second. My apologies to those of you who may have expected it a few days earlier. Anyways, these are the Q&A episodes. I take your comments, questions that come in to smarterhomehelp.com. It's a kind of a quick link to the form. You send them in, I answer them within a reasonable time, and the most interesting ones go on these shows. If you've got a big project, an upcoming house renovation, you're working on a new build or something like that, I love to help you out. I do smart home consulting, personalized over audio and video chat and so forth across the country and across the world. I'm actually working on a couple projects simultaneously right now, so I would love to work on yours with you as well. smarterhomehelp.com. Check that box for a project, or just send in your question and I'll get back to you. Speaking of last day of the month, and this is going to be a jam-packed video, so I'm going to try to get a lot of stuff accomplished in a little bit of time. I'm also kind of recording over there for posterity, which will go into the documentary series about how it's like to do all the things here in this tiny little place and about all the technology. So that's coming soon too. A little bit of news came out just a few hours ago. I feel like we should have like the breaking news like sounder thing. Maybe I'll put that in. If you are a user of Iris by Lowe's, you have 2 months to switch to something else. They are shutting down the platform. Now, the base platform, my guess is, and they said they're shutting it down, so we don't have a full information. I've never had one of these, so my apologies. My understanding has been through looking at the information and through other sources that if you buy the basic system and you want to do just basic things, it's included. If you want to do any automation, if you want to do anything that's kind of like barely, high beginner level, you have to pay for it. They're going to shut that whole thing down. So they are actually also giving credits in the form kind of a Visa gift card. I'll put the link in the show notes for you to read more information. They have probably emailed you if you are an Iris by Lowe's user, but they are shutting down the platform on March 31st of this year. So 2 months from now, the platform will be shut down, and they are recommending that you try something like SmartThings. Not only Wink, not just Wink, but SmartThings is what they're recommending. Is Wink the next one to go? We don't know really what's going on with Wink and the Will.i.am Technology Consortium, who owns it. So interesting times for the smart home, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there. I'm glad I kind of waited to the last day of the month because I've got some news and I can put it here. So again, Iris by Lowe's shutting down in 2 months from today. So that'll be March 31st of 2019. Let's see, cloud-dependent products can be shut down or bricked anytime that they please. Remember this guy, the Emberlight socket, kind of just a screw-in socket that would make any light smart. This was entirely cloud dependent, and I believe this was last year around this time, maybe actually, or I may be having my facts wrong, and it was 2017. This got entirely shut down and bricked the products because without the cloud, the product is now useless because it was too dependent on the cloud. So again, what happens in your smart home should stay in your smart home. And I'm going to leave it at that. We had some excellent questions come in during January. It was actually a busy month. December was kind of slow. I ran into grabbed some of the questions from the comments, but this time it's all of your emails. So again, smarterhomehelp.com. We're going to dive right in. I've got 3 of them, and then we're going to move on because again, it's a jam-packed video this time. So from Rebecca F. Hi, Joe. I really love your videos. I especially liked your what to expect in 2019. You had asked for questions to address on the show, ... Thank you, Rebecca. I love making these videos. I wish I could make more of them sometimes. Anyways, thank you for your lovely comments. And let's get to the question. I've been shopping around and I don't understand why they don't sell video doorbells that work in conjunction with smart deadbolt locks. Since I started with nothing and bought an Echo Plus 4 months ago, I was hoping to find a bundle or at the very least 2 products marketed together. Maybe you can explain why manufacturers don't see front door security as the whole package with a doorbell and lock. Seems obvious to me. My answer is kind of twofold. There is a company that does this. That's August. They don't really, I feel like they advertise the smart door locks much more than their doorbell, which they're replacing this year with a new product. So August, there's the dog, you can see it in the back, behind me. The August smart lock Also, the company also makes a smart doorbell as well. They do work together. You can see them. You can control them both in the same app. It was supposed to be HomeKit compatible. We finally have a HomeKit compatible smart doorbell coming from Netatmo, and I think that Robin Telecom, who's no one ever has ever heard of, later this year. But August definitely makes both products. It's under their own umbrella. They do work together. I've heard varying stories of the August doorbell, that it's not reliable, signal strength isn't great, the video isn't great. I helped install one with a friend of mine when we did that smart home kind of collaboration thing a couple of years ago. I'll probably put a link to that video. But anyways, it really is... it's an okay product. There aren't that many other companies that make smart locks and video doorbells, except one company who made literally a product that does 2-in-1, and that's the Altro. I can put a link to the kind of the start time on the Cedia video, because I saw it first at the Cedia Connected Home Show back in September. They were also at CES. I wasn't at CES, so I did not see them again. It's an attractive looking black device. It's keyless, it's secure, it's Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and it's a video doorbell and a smart lock all in one product. It has a keypad. Anyways, I'll link to the video that's got a little bit more of a description on it, and to their website. It's $349, I think. There's a company called Doorbird. They're out of Europe. They make smart video doorbells and smart locks as well, kind of more for multifamily dwellings, or specifically for the locks and the dwellings that are the homes that are basically more popular in Europe than they are here in the US. And some of the other North American countries. So anyways, that's kind of where that's at. It hasn't been something that, like, Nest has not introduced. Nest themselves have not introduced a smart lock, but Yale worked with Nest to produce a lock that they call like Yale by Nest, or Nest by Yale, whatever it is. So two separate companies are kind of like helping each other out, but Nest itself doesn't make a smart door lock, and Yale, a lock company, does not make a smart doorbell, smart video doorbell, but they do make two products that do kind of work together. It can be challenging for one company to take on both different types of products, because they're two different animals. So that's all I'm going to say on that one. There are some solutions, and I hope that answers your question. Thank you again for your kind comments. Question number 2 comes in from John S., and he says, "Hey Joe, I came across your YouTube channel by chance as I was watching some smart home videos." Thank you for running into the channel. "I recently took the plunge into home automation and have outfitted my home with a few devices to get started. I have an Echo Plus, which I'm currently using as my only hub." So that's the Amazon Echo that's got the Zigbee radio in it that can directly control lights and locks and certain products without a separate hub. It's, I think, what was it, 129, 149 right now. I have an Echo Plus. It's my only hub and voice assistant. I also have the Hue bridge, for all the Hue lights. You can make the Hue lights work with the Echo Plus, but you don't get the full functionality or the software updates unless you hook it up to the Hue bridge. I have a few smart plugs, a couple of GE smart dimmers. I'm using to control some 3-way, 4-way recessed banks of lighting. I've got some, mostly controlled by smart devices, and that's where his question arises in terms of smart lighting. It's a long question. I'll try to kind of shorten it a little bit. "I figured it would be cool to track my energy usage." Absolutely. Even with LEDs, they still add up, so it's good to know how much energy you are using. I can't talk tonight, trying to go too fast. "The GE smart dimmers, the Zigbee version, advertise that they have energy monitoring capabilities," right? We've seen this on smart plugs. A couple other products have energy monitoring built in. Energy monitoring capabilities on their package and website. "However, I have not been able to figure out where this information is stored and if the Echo Plus can even read it. My smart plugs have a dedicated app." Exactly, probably like iDevices and maybe some other brands. The TP-Link also has one. Wemo, I believe, also has one that does energy monitoring. But those all have dedicated apps. Let's see. It shows my smart plugs have a dedicated app that shows the data, but again, it doesn't get migrated over to the Alexa app when he's taking a look at it. So basically, he's trying to figure out how he wants to read this data. He also talked about Sense. That's the big whole house energy monitor. That generally doesn't really pick up anything that's under a couple hundred watts. So that doesn't necessarily help. So the question is, why is it that this doesn't work? Well, number one, so let's talk about the smart plugs and the things he talked about. Smart plugs and a couple other things that do measure energy use are generally Wi-Fi products. And Wi-Fi is this newfangled thing for the smart home. There's no standard. So it's company A just says, we're going to report, we're going to have a way to communicate with this device for on-off and for dim and brightening. Maybe it has a nightlight on board. We're just going to define it as we see fit because it's our product and it's Wi-Fi. It doesn't have to comply with that Zigbee or Z-Wave or anything like that. So they can do what they like. They can also make their own app that gives you a perfect display of the product and all of its features, including the energy use. That really doesn't happen in the Zigbee and Z-Wave world. Those are dedicated smart home protocols. They get updated every so often when Zigbee and Z-Wave decide, okay, it's time to update this protocol. And it's time to update all of the possible attributes that a product could have, right? So if you think about it, a product like a smart plug will have different attributes than, say, a smart light bulb, right? A smart light bulb might have brightness, on-off state, it might have color capabilities, it might have warm to cool capabilities, but a smart plug that might dim a light is probably just going to have on-off. Maybe it's going to have energy use, energy monitoring, maybe not, and maybe it'll have brightness level. And all of those attributes would be something that you can probably read, and then some of those would be something that you can set. So it's up to Z-Wave and Zigbee to make a change that, okay, these device profiles, so to speak, fit these particular devices. And so GE has added a new attribute of energy monitoring, which may or may not be included. I'm guessing that because Zigbee and Z-Wave, they update about once a year or so, but that has to be pushed out to all of the different products, to all the SmartThings hubs and all the different products that are out there. So basically, if the device supports it, let's just say if the device supports it and your hub doesn't support it, like say that he's got this, he didn't say, but let's just guess that the GE smart dimmers, he's got them hooked into SmartThings. I know he talked about, he doesn't. He's got them hooked into the Echo Plus, but say that he had them hooked to more of a robust hub like SmartThings. If SmartThings, its device driver that was talking, Zigbee to this device, didn't support the energy usage, data point, it's not going to display. And he's going to have to wait until either SmartThings updates it or the SmartThings community updates it, or maybe it's not even possible because the data spec in Zigbee doesn't even support that piece of data, that energy monitoring. So it's kind of a weird thing. The moral of the story is, A, he can't seem to figure it out on the Echo Plus because it's not supported. So either that, and that's definitely something that Amazon would have to fix. We assume that it's part of the Zigbee spec. So there's always multiple layers. Does the device support it? Does the spec support it? And does the hub support it? And of course the hub might support it, and their display might not support it. So it's all these possible things. This is why the smart home can be so frustrating to people, including John, because he's saying, I want this to work. I know it's supported, but I can't get it to work. So you may want to go onto the SmartThings forums and take a look and say, hey, I see that they've got energy monitoring, that these devices support it. Has anyone made this work, before you jump ship? So thanks, John, for your long question. I hope that answers it and answers it for everyone else. So again, it's devices, it's specs, and it's hubs and displays and apps. Wi-Fi devices, it's open season, and they'll generally support it because it's their product. Otherwise, it's the spec has to support it and the hub has to support it. So it's all this crazy stuff. So moving on to the next question, the third question. This is actually another good one too. This comes in from Roger J, and Roger writes in, I have lots of smart home devices, a Nest thermostat, a Nest Protect. He's got a lot of stuff. He's got like 8 Wise cams, a couple Google Home hubs. He's got I'm just going to summarize it. He's got about 32 devices that are all Wi-Fi, not all smart home devices, because he's got some Chromebooks and smart TVs. I guess you could lump that in with smart home. He's got about 32 devices that I counted. And he's got Sunset Communications for his, I was going to say it's cable, but he's got fiber to the home, so that's really cool. He's got 50 megs down and 5 megs up. I'm actually surprised you only have 5 megs up. I would think you'd get more with fiber, but maybe you're on the lowest tier because fiber is really capable. But anyways, what would best improve my situation? A better router or increasing speeds from my internet provider? Now, he didn't say anything specifically that he's having trouble. So I asked him a couple questions, and I said, number one, have you tried a speed test, right? He has a Netgear R6400 router, which has the Nighthawk app that has basically a meter, a traffic meter, so you can see the bandwidth going through your network and also going out to your ISP. Maybe there's a leak somewhere that there was reported that the Wisecams had a little bit of a problem about a month or so ago, that they were all potentially using up people's bandwidth because they were sending way too much to the cloud instead of just short 12-second video clips if motion was detected, and they can only do that every 5 minutes. So I asked him, check this internet meter, see if your bandwidth is going crazy. And also the question is, are you having problems inside your network, or are you having problems downloading things? Like has your internet speeds, not your local network speeds, but your internet speeds actually like ground to a halt? Is there some, and that could be even a result of malware that's taken over your PC and is doing all kinds of bad things. So it's kind of a complicated question, but the real thing comes down to, many people are concerned about, if I have X amount of devices on my Wi-Fi, am I just going to grind it to a halt because it's way too many devices? Now, every router supports a different number of devices, and I looked at the Netgear, and they support 32 devices total on the 2.4 gigahertz side and 32 on the 5 gigahertz side, for a total of 64. Now, if you're at 60 devices, that is a ton of Wi-Fi devices. And you could run into a problem there anyway, just because you're going to max out potentially the IP addresses that can be assigned by it. You may just start running into problems generally. But a lot of people are concerned that if you just connect all these devices, even if they sit idle, somehow they're taking up all that Wi-Fi signal. They're causing problems. And I did some additional research, because I'm not I'm not a radio frequency Wi-Fi expert by necessarily any means. I'm not a network engineer, and I don't design antennas and all this. It's really big sciencey stuff. So the issue really comes down to it, that if you have a whole bunch of devices that are using a lot of bandwidth, that they're all active, they're doing more than just maybe they're sending. Most smart home devices like lights and locks and devices that are really simple, they're sending out little bits every now and again. They might query something from the cloud to get a status update, but they're not actively constantly sending and receiving large amounts of data. It's very, very small. Something like a Wisecam, again, it's going to send out a clip, a 12-second clip if it detects motion. Obviously, your streaming devices are going to be pulling down video, but it really comes down to which devices and how many of them are really active on the network at once. If you have a concern about that, and you have like an older router that hasn't been updated, or it's really not designed for the IoT, you could update to a new router. You could update to a mesh Wi-Fi system with only 1 or 2 mesh, access points. Those are designed for today's demanding, needs, where people have 20, 30, 40 devices. Another solution can be take all of the devices that you can, primarily when you're building your network out, instead of having to kind of start over. If you can use devices that are Zigbee or Z-Wave or some other smart home protocol, then that frees up your Wi-Fi router to just deal with Wi-Fi, and all of your smart home stuff communicates directly and locally only to your SmartThings hub, your Wink hub, your Vera, your whatever controller you've got, Home Assistant if you're on a server type setup, or even an Echo Plus, right? Because that supports Zigbee And again, it takes that burden off of your Wi-Fi router. So there's a couple different ways to go. Kind of depends on where you're at. And if you've already bought devices, again, for Roger, check the internet connection. If you don't have a way to check it on your router, you can talk to your ISP and say, can you give me the information about what I'm using and my peak amount of data and where it's going over the past couple weeks. Maybe there's actually a problem that you need to solve. And then you've got to play the whack-a-mole game of unplugging things and figuring things out. So it's a little bit of an investigative game, but I thought it would be a good topic to put on this Q&A. So thank you, Roger, for writing in. Again, smarterhomehelp.com. I said just to get on the show, right? It's like selling tickets, but really it's your questions, and I take the most interesting ones for the audience and put them right here on the show. Next up is going to be our little, again, a jam-packed little segment about what's coming up and so forth, and let's get to that right now. I always take a little bit of time during these Q&A episodes to thank the people who are supporting the show on Patreon. Patreon is a crowdfunding mechanism. It allows people to support the show on a regular basis. It helps pay for certain things, something I'll talk about in just another minute on my little notes here. And it's a wonderful thing. You can contribute $1, $2, $3, even $10,000 a month. That'd be great. We just get like a really rich donor. That'd be awesome. Anyways, patreon.com/smarterhomelife. You can learn all about it, and you'll get some extra little bits of information. I usually do an update. I think I may have forgotten that this month. Oops, it's been a busy month. I'll get to it tomorrow. So thank you, Patreon, for sticking. Thank you, patrons, for sticking with the show over so many years. And speaking of that, something else in terms of funding. So it's going to be later this year that this place is going to come to a conclusion. I'm going to be moving to Portland, Oregon, and I want to try to make that happen sooner than later and faster than slower. So a month from now, March 1st, I'll be launching another GoFundMe. This is not really tied to the show. It's tied to just getting me up there and just as quickly as possible and just getting fully established. I want to have a larger place to do a number of different things for Smarter Home Life and the associated things that I do. But the last time I did one of these, it was under kind of duress and stress. And it was like I had to move like within a month, and then it was canceled. And I'm just like, all right, 2019, it's the year. I made a commitment about 5 years ago. I'm going to relocate to the Pacific Northwest. It's going to be the Portland, the general Portland area, probably a little bit outside of Portland itself. So more details on that, but I just thought I would throw it out there. New crowdfunding campaign for a GoFundMe that'll start March 1st. And I think we want to blow through it, and it'll be really, really awesome. Smarter Home Life is tough to do here. Physically here. I'll get to that in a minute. So anyways, more details on that in a month. In a minute. Okay, in a second. The documentation series. I've been talking about it for about 2 months or so. I am finally ready to go into production. It's going to use some new equipment made possible by the patrons on Patreon, the people donating some revenue to the show, some new equipment, one of those fancy gimbals, right, that you put your phone in and get all those beautiful, wonderful steady cam shots, and possibly a new phone. It's going to be either way. As I want to shoot this in 4K and in 60 frames a second. Maybe it's going to be 30 frames a second and I won't upgrade my phone. But anyways, it's going to be shot in 4K and it'll be brought down to the standard 1080p, which is what most people really are viewing this stuff at. This is the documentation series that expands on the tour from 2 years ago. It's going to explain, it's going to be multiple videos, not like some hour-and-a-half video. It'll explain the technology that's in use here. It's going to explain all the design decisions that happened. It'll just talk about the lighting. It'll talk about what it's like to be a YouTuber in a tiny home. All these different things, a lot of things that people have wanted to know, and maybe things you didn't even need to know or want to know. It's all going to be there. It's going to be part of this really, really awesome series that'll be beautifully shot and edited and produced just in the kind of the same high fashion. The same high quality that you can expect from Smarter Home Life and the original tour video from about 2 years ago, which has almost 250,000 views, which is really, really great. So that's starting in February. I'm very excited about that. Other things starting in February. Gee whiz, as if it wasn't enough to do that. I've talked about this in the past. I'm starting something again. This is personally, but I thought I would mention it here. I've got a larger audience that I can talk about it. I'll probably put a little video together or a tiny little thing when it launches to kind of just talk to everyone on the channel, not just you who is watching this Q&A. My personal show, I haven't had a personal podcast or a video thing or whatever in a long time. It's at least going to be an audio podcast. It'll probably be a little bit on video as well, just a just a video feed to YouTube. And maybe I'll do some blogging. It's called Joe's Thoughts. It's going to be located at joesthoughts.com, which is a website that is not set up yet. There's a domain name. That's wonderful, but it's not set up yet. So follow me on Twitter at NidoCayman for the updates on that. Turn on notifications. I tweet about a lot of different things, and the show is going to cover a lot of different things. So if you're interested in me and what I'm up to beyond smarter home life and my thoughts on stuff, tune in. It's going to be pretty cool. joesthoughts.com starts Friday, February 8th, a week from tomorrow. Okay, I am just powering through these topics. So I think I forgot to mention this at the top of the show, but I'm not re-editing the whole show. So I mentioned on the CES panel when I had Ant Pruitt and Richard Gunther and Allison Sheridan, who were so kind to provide some coverage during CES and then also do our the wonderful little panel discussion, which was all shot separately, so it's not really a panel, but it looks like a panel. I asked them a number of questions about their CES experience because I couldn't be there, and so I didn't want to take anything away from them for that particular video. So I'm going to ask myself my own questions and answer them right now about CES. So question number 1 was, what stood out to you as the top 2 or 3 trends or buzz in the room at CES? Obviously, I was not there. Richard mentioned that it's easier to actually figure that out when you're not at CES because there's too much to cover and it's so busy and you're exhausted. And he's absolutely right. So my thoughts are really the same as everyone else's. It's no really surprise. 8K TVs, AI, autonomous cars, robots. Were there that many robots there? But really for the smart home side of things, it was everything working with everything and Apple stealing a lot of that press at the beginning of the show saying that, Apple Music and iTunes and HomeKit were going to be coming to oh my God, like Samsung devices and Vizio TVs, I believe. That was a lot of the stuff that was going on that I thought was interesting. And I think 2019 will be this year of you're going to see all this expansion of if a product doesn't support certain ecosystems, it'll probably support it by the end of this year, or a manufacturer will come out with a replacement product. They hear the frustration of people saying that this doesn't work with that, or I have to connect it to IFTTT and that's really confusing. They do want to solve some of these problems. It's a technology thing, it's a resources thing, it's a development thing. So we'll probably see a lot of that. I think we'll see some of that, a lot of those problems with devices connecting to other ecosystems get somewhat solved by the end of this year, but then you have, again, introduction of new ecosystems like the Works with Arlo ecosystem and the expansion of accessories for, Amazon. So we'll see, but I think it'll be interesting for that. Question number 2, what were 2 products or announcements that you were most excited about at CES? And me watching from afar, and I've talked about this before saying, yeah, I kind of thought that CES was going to be kind of a dud, and I still feel like that. The biggest product to me that seemed like it would have the best application, and this is not specifically smart home related, that augmented reality oven from Whirlpool. I know, again, it's vaporware at this point. It's a concept. It's not really a real product, but the fact of putting an LCD screen in an oven that's got not just instructions, but showing you where to place things, what things might look like, what is the doneness level of your brioche, right? I've been watching way too much of that Great British Baking Show, so I've got bread on the mind and cakes. But anyways, think about the future with ovens to where the augmented reality can show you the instructions or show you where to place things, but maybe the oven can be programmed for all the ingredients that you put in this specialty cake that you're making. So it understands it understands what the time should be, the temperature, the humidity. There might be robotic probes and cameras on board that can actually check for the doneness and the exact way that it should be perfectly baked, and maybe the heat turns off after a certain point. All those things could help us all become stupid and forget how to bake and how to cook things, which hopefully we'll still know how to do that. But Imagine being able to just put something in and just put it in the oven, and it just takes care of it perfectly. Now, you might say, well, that's the June oven, of course, right? It doesn't quite do everything yet, but I think that's an interesting thing for a few years from now as that gets perfected. I think that's really, really interesting. So I was excited about that. The other thing I was kind of excited for, because this would solve this cloud connectivity issue. Again, products are dependent on the cloud, that the company goes out of business and you're out of luck. Security cameras are a big one, right? So SimCam, and I didn't put this in my recap, the really fast recap video, which has gotten like no views, which is very strange. It's called SimCam. It has an Intel Movidius VPU on board for onboard API. So this camera claims they don't have to go to the cloud for motion detection, for like face recognition. All of that's going to be on camera. The footage is stored on camera. It's all secure. It's all encrypted, and it's not in the cloud. They're completely, the camera company, aside from issuing updates, is completely out of the loop. It's just running by itself. Now, it's a Kickstarter project. It's from kind of a no-name company that has a website with tons and tons of grammatical and spelling errors. I'll put a link to it. It says it's shipping in March. It's $99. I didn't put it in the video because I'm just like, I don't want to put something that's vaporware out there. If you want to check it out, feel free to check it out. This is not an endorsement. I just think it's really interesting, and I think we need to see more of this. If it's successful, you could see, the industry move towards that. The Ring smart lighting system that they bought Mr. Beams, they brought it in, they've revamped it. Richard said, and I haven't confirmed this, 1,000-foot range of these wireless lights that have motion sensors. That's pretty incredible. Mr. Beams was really known for this, so it makes sense that they could bring this technology over to Ring and really, really, really enhance it. So now the ring of security, as they talk about it, you have Ring smart lights. They're landscape lights. They all have motion sensors on board. If the motion sensor on any of them is tripped, they all turn on. If you have Ring cameras, those can also Ring cameras or Ring floodlights. The floodlights can come on, and then the cameras in the certain area. I guess you could start all of them, but if you have Ring cameras or video doorbells on your property, if you've gone all in and spent a lot of money, they could all start recording. So you could capture whatever's going on if you're not at home and people are, casing your house or people are just coming over for dinner. Anyways, we'll have to see how that works out. They also had a product that would upgrade existing low voltage landscape lights to this new Ring smart lighting system, which then all those communicate back to a hub, and then that's how it talks to the rest of the IoT and the cloud probably. So anyways, I thought that was interesting. Good evolution, not a revolution, but interesting. C by GE, they had the light bulbs before. They're adding the switches, the dimmers with the motion sensors and multicolored lights. They're all Bluetooth. It's the first integration with Google Home directly, so that you don't need a hub. It only works with Google Home as a physical integration. Otherwise, you have to get their hub that enables it for Siri and for Lady A. So at least someone is using the Bluetooth radio in Google Home devices for something other than streaming audio. We need to see more of that. We heard more rumors of Bluetooth even becoming an IoT standard. We'll see about that. Anyways, that's what I thought. Exciting announcements. Number 3. Which of the 3 voice platforms for the smart home do you use and why? Okay, number 1, I have to use all of them. I don't really use HomeKit anymore except for testing. I use it for dictation. I use it for making calls. Hey, so-and-so, call this place, right? I guess I could do it on Google Home too, but I use it very, very, very minimally and really not at all for home automation. Alexa, I use on the Echo Cube that's down there, the Fire TV Cube. I don't really like the Fire TV interface. I haven't really found that I like voice control for launching a certain show. I just want to turn the TV on and jump back to where I was and hit play. I'm so used to the physical remote. I'm just used to it. What do I use it for? Hey, so-and-so, turn off the TV, and I walk and I go to bed. It's useless. Amazon could do a lot more with the device, and I hope they do in 2019. Google Home, it's what I use. I use Google Assistant for everything else, home automation related and voice automation related. I pretty much in that world. I've talked about that before. No big surprise. So would I jump ship to another platform? Probably not. Sorry, Alexa. Sorry, Siri. I'm just going to whisper for the rest of the show. Let's see. Number 4, we're almost done. Based on your CES experience from afar, do you think the smart home will get easier to use and or more helpful for consumers this year? Why not? Easier, yes, because we're probably going to see, again, all these integrations. Many of them have been announced. Products working with more ecosystems and platforms, so you don't have to use IFTTT. You don't have to use Yonomi, even though Yonomi is great. You don't have to use Stringify. You can just connect it up. Is the smart home going to get more helpful for consumers? Maybe. I forget the name of it, but we have Alexa coming out with the Alexa, I want to say intentions, actions, whatever the heck it's called. It's going to try to predict what you want before you want it, right? And try to do things automatically for you. As long as it's not creepy, that is going to be cool. It just has to be handled well. We need a dose of AR. We need a dose of AI. We need a dose of something to give true intelligence to help people set this stuff up. Because otherwise, they look to YouTube, they look to blogs, they look to websites. Like I forgot to mention this. I had lunch the other day. Actually, another smart home company, another smart home guy who actually, as it turns out, now lives in the Phoenix area, Reed Kleinman, right? Reed Kleinman from smarthomesolver.com, really cool guy. He was at CES. We sat and chatted for like 2 hours over lunch just the other day. We're going to do some collaborative stuff coming up, we think, and I don't want to commit to anything, but we talked about it, so we'll probably do something cool. And Smart Home Solver, right, is there. They have a really cool thing on their website that says, what do you want smart lights? Do you want to do it with voice? Do you want to do it with this? Reed is like a software developer guy. His wife does a lot of marketing stuff, so they put their heads together and made this whole thing. But they've got like this, thing that will basically let you pick and choose the things that you want, and it'll recommend products. So hopefully it'll get easier, so all these configurator things don't have to exist. Everything will work with everything, and you will have systems built into the hubs that'll suggest things, saying, hey, I see that you have this and this, and can you scan your room or your home with your phone and let us take some images that we don't send to the cloud and stay private and figure out where this stuff is, and we can make some even more recommendations. So we need some more of that. Is it going to happen in 2019? Maybe. We'll see. It's hard to do. That's why it hasn't happened yet. And the privacy implications and all that stuff. All right, so number 5, last one. Take out your crystal ball. What do you think will dominate the headlines of CES 2020? As most of the viewers or the panel said, that's kind of a tough one. I'm going to say, a big AI announcement, wireless power. We saw a little bit of that. I didn't include it, but we see every year we see wireless power get a little bit more, longer distance without frying your insides. Better AR glasses. I mean, you name it, right? What are we gonna? What is the next iconic product that you want, right? We've seen all the big products come out over the past 7-8 years. Nest and August and Philips Hue, smart lights. All the big iconic products have come out. What's next? What's the big one? What do you want? Good question. I asked that exact question on the 2019 predictions video. So I wanted to just jump through. I could show you my iPad, but I have to take it off the stand. I could just keep scrolling and scrolling. Everyone contributed a ton of information. Most people want, from what I gathered from my non-scientific reading of all of the comments. By the way, that wrapped up the CES questions, so thank you very much for that. Your comments on that video about what you wanted to see happen in 2019 with the smart home, your 2019 smart home wish list, most of them revolved around the same topic of, I want this to work with that. This ecosystem needs to be more open. HomeKit's got to do better. That's what most people are really, really wanting. Merchy Merch said contemporary smart homes have severe privacy issues. Bingo, right. Too many cloud accounts. The balkanization of protocols is pushing customers away. Exactly. Very nicely. Another user says, the balkanization of protocols, very nicely put, and so very true. Affordable smart mirrors, right? Why is it so expensive? It's a TV and a mirror. Really? And it's software. Okay, I get it. Yep. They should be a little bit less expensive. Actually, you can build your own. Get a two-way mirror, stick it in front of a TV, hook up the TV, you're good to go. I know, easier said than done, but you can do it. I actually helped someone at a big, beautiful multi-purpose event venue a number of years ago do exactly that, and it turned out really cool. Let's see, maybe I'll put up a photo. Let's see. I would love to see more rules-based routines in HomeKit. Ding, ding, ding. Yes, exactly. We're waiting on Apple to do that. We're waiting on Apple to do something exciting this year. More companies agree on a standard. We can get rid of the hubs. Yeah, do you see exactly? Google gets bored. Yeah. Does Google get bored with the smart home and stop putting rides at CES and say, yeah, we're done? It could happen. Better ceiling fan control. Yes, bingo. Again, merch. Ceiling fans and blinds. A company finally, I just got a PR thing about this. Soma Smart Home. I'm going to try to review it. They came out with the product that the other company that I was following, they went out of business. Soma Smart Home, not out of business, has developed a product as a controller for mini blinds. So it'll replace your rod that you use to change the tilt. If that works, that's the first product on the market that does that, and they'll just run away with it. I think it was priced pretty reasonably. I'm trying to get some review units. We'll see if we can get it, if I can get it in to integrate it into the smart home tour thing. Maybe not, but we'll see. I think it's the end of February. But anyways, that's exciting. Again, ceiling fan control. We're getting better at that. Smart blinds, way too expensive. Smart fans by themselves, way too expensive, but a couple have come down in price. Hampton Bay from, like the Home Depot generic brand has some that I was doing some investigative work for a client, and they're in the 140 range, only work with Wink, there we are again. Anyways, let's see, the year of integration, I use only HomeKit. More cross-platform CCTV integration. Yep, that's an interesting one. Devices becoming more affordable, right? We're going to see the outdoor camera come out from Wisecam, right? The Wisecam Pan, I've got it back there. I'm going to do a review on that in the next month. I think they're going to push the industry to make this stuff affordable. Why are smart light bulbs that change colors still $30, $40, $50? Thank you for your comments. I'll probably maybe come up with a way to put a whole bunch of them in the video. But thank you again. If you want to see what people are looking at, go to the comment list on the video for the predictions for the smart home for 2019. I'm going to scroll to the end so I know what I'm going on. But lots of really good suggestions. I think we'll see some of them hopefully maybe come true this year. If you want to get on this show, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to White Plains, New York. No, not really. I'm not selling tickets, but if you would like to get your question on the show, smarterhomehelp.com goes right to that form. You can send it in. I'll get back to you within a few days, depending on workload and so forth. And if you've got a really good project, something that's confusing, a new build or something like that, check the box for smart home consultation, and I can get on the horn with you and talk about it in real time. It's a paid service, and it helps you, it helps me, and helps the world go round. So I love those projects, and I would love to work on more of them. And like I said, I just started again a couple more just this month. So that's it for the show. What's coming next month? Some awesome stuff. Stay tuned to Smart Home Life for some awesome new smart home stuff coming soon. Can I get more excited about it and make this more of a ridiculous greeting? All right, that's it. I'm Jody Ganzik for Smart Home Life. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.